Good.
Yeah, good.
Oh, hello and welcome to another Lean training course. Today we're going to be talking about mistake proofing. I'm Thomas Richards.
And I'm John Zackerson, and we're from the Lean team. Hey Thomas, to get us started, why don't you tell us what a mistake is?
Sure thing, John. A mistake is an error or anything else that can happen that causes a service or a product to be undesirable to the end customer. Mistakes can be caused through carelessness, poor judgment, inattention, and sometimes bad training. Mistake proofing means using tools or methods to eliminate the possibility of making a mistake. It also means that when mistakes are made, that we catch them immediately and prevent them from happening. The practice of mistake proofing was formalized by engineers at Toyota as part of the Toyota production system in the 1960s. Designed to help prevent human errors on the production lines, it became known as poka-yoke.
Thank you, Thomas. Poka-yoke is the original term from which we get the phrase mistake proofing. By taking the Japanese words poka, meaning mistakes, and yokeru, meaning to avoid, we get avoiding mistakes, and thus mistake proofing. Toyota and many other companies since have used mistake proofing methodologies to deliver higher quality products to their customers. A good example of an everyday mistake proofing effort are electrical outlets. This example illustrates the shape difference between the 20 and 15 amp plug that makes it impossible to insert a 20 amp plug into a 15 amp outlet.
Thanks, John. Now then, let's take a look at how some mistake proofing efforts have been used to continuously improve here at CHG.
This was a report that we had utilized to send out to the divisions to let them know about assignments that they needed to sync up in between PeopleNet and Fox. So what would happen is the consumers would receive the report showing the discrepancies, then they would go into PeopleNet and close those assignments out so that it was a much cleaner experience for the representatives using PeopleNet, and there was no confusion between Fox and People. So prior to my Lean project that I did, there was 31 steps in that report that I had to do. So I had to first run the reports, gather the information, compile the information. Once the information was compiled in one Excel sheet, then I would have to go through and manually filter different columns to get certain dates in there. If something was typically open, there would be a date of 2050, so I'd have to go through and sort for those and make sure that we were getting everything that had a certain date in it. Once some of that manual filtering was done, then I'd have to go and delete certain columns so that I didn't just give them a giant table of miscellaneous data. They only wanted to focus on certain things, and so I also had to pare that down and get them something that worked a lot better for what their needs would be instead of just giving them the raw data. So this would take about an hour to complete the report between running the first few for each division and then also compiling them and paring it down to what they needed, plus trying to go back and just make sure I didn't miss anything. I had a set of instructions that I created for myself after having done this report so many times. I wrote it all down so that if I was not present and able to run the report, that someone should be able to at least try to read through the instructions and figure out how they could actually run the report themselves. So I tried to make it as easy as possible, but having 31 instructions to follow with intricacies in each of those steps was something that would be very hard to pass on to somebody else, that they would take a lot of time working together to be able to actually go through and run. There were a lot of opportunities for mistakes because I'd have to manually check this, and I would try to check the same things every time, but sometimes I'd maybe miss deleting a column out, or sometimes there'd be maybe a space in between some of the reports that I compiled. And so when I would do like a control shift down to try to capture everything in a row, sometimes I'd make the assumption that that captured everything when really it was just going to the bottom of that row. Then there was a gap, and I missed maybe 300 items that weren't filtered out. So sending that out in some of those scenarios, I'd hear back from the customers saying, hey, why are these results in here? What do these ones mean? And it would cause even more time to have to go back and figure out, oh, looks like a mistake was made here where it didn't catch this, or oh, I forgot this step to delete, this or that data out. So with the process now, it's cut down about 15 steps. So it takes about 5 minutes as well with the changes that were made. And the change that I made was got it down to where I knew I had completed the report correctly with all the edits, and recorded a macro when I did so. And what that allowed me to do was capture every single one of those steps so that they were all done correctly, and then just be able to run that anytime that I put data into this Excel sheet. So it's really made the process a lot more efficient, because now it's capturing the entire page of data regardless of whether there's a gap or not. It's making sure that none of those steps are missed, because it completes it every time, it formats it correctly, it deletes out the right columns, it deletes out the correct data, because that's all recorded and done exactly the same every time with this automation. So by inputting this lean process of mistake proofing and making sure that something is repeatable and that the steps are eliminated, it gave me a lot more time to make sure that I was giving the right information out and make sure that, at first all the information was being done step by step. So in creating this, the mistakes that are eliminated now is it looks for the same amount of data throughout the whole page every time, instead of me manually telling it to do so. It grabs the entire page of data instead of me trying to remember to do so. So it cuts out a lot of the human error. It cuts out all those things that I'd have to remember to do this, or just some of these step intricacies, because it's now automated. And I went from having a few conversations with people back and forth to try to figure out what the issue was, to just running the report, running the macro, sending it out, and that's all they need.
Thank you, Brandon. Excellent job implementing mistake-proofing methods to help continuously improve our company.
And we hope you've enjoyed our mistake-proofing video, and we look forward to more improvements.